Hi crafters, Amy here with Amy's Wares, and I have some Siberian Husky Cuteness to share with you today. Now my friend Jessica Lynn has a new release in her shop, and she was kind enough to send me this new Siberian Husky Stamp Set, and it is so adorable. It has 3 different big stamps of dogs, and then it has some hilarious sentiments and some extra little smaller stamps like that cool flower and leaf and dog bone, paw print, lots of little mini stamps to kind of help you build a background if you so choose. But these sentiments were just so cute and funny, and obviously someone who has a husky is going to deal with husky shedding and hair everywhere, so I just thought that sentiment was hilarious. So I'm just going to open the new stamps here and load them in my mini Misty. And you'll see I'm actually using a panel of A2 size, US A2 size cardstock. It's 110 pound, and that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So that'll give you an idea of how big these stamps are. They're not massive, but they're definitely substantial in size, which is kind of my favorite for coloring actually. And initially I wasn't sure if I was going to just build the scene with the sentiment on the panel, but then I decided to just stamp the 3 dogs and then color them in and fussy cut them out, just because that will give me more flexibility with creating the design. So I don't really have a plan in mind. I tend to kind of wing things and create as I go, but I do know that I want to copic color. So I'm going to use this Gina K amalgam ink. It is a nice dark black ink, and it is copic friendly. So you'll want to make sure you use a copic friendly black ink if you're going to use your copic markers, otherwise it'll smear on you. Like if you were to do VersaFine or pigment ink like that, then it wouldn't work with your copics. So make sure you have a copic friendly ink. And here I'm showing you the colors that I used today. I am kind of all over the place with my coloring, so if you wanted to take a screenshot of that, if you want to take note of the colors I used. But I mainly just used a lot of cool grays and some browns and teals. Now, one of our cousin's dogs has 1 blue eye and 1 brown eye. So I colored the dog with the soccer ball to match that puppy, and then the other one has both blue eyes. So the one standing up, I just did the 2 teal eyes. And I actually, off to the left, you can't see it, I have my laptop up, and I was pulling up some pictures of her 2 huskies just so I could try and color this to look just like her dogs. Now, I will admit huskies are not the easiest to color with kind of the unique coloration and variation from, you know, dark to light. It's a little bit tricky, and you know, I'm not the strongest copic colorer. I don't have a lot of patience for the blending, so you'll see I'm a little bit, you know, sloppy and scribbly in my style. I do have another video where I talk about how I copic color, and I'll put that in the video description box below if you want to check out that video. But I'm kind of just laying down from light to dark, and then going from there. So some people go dark to light, that's their preference, and it's really just up to you, whatever works best for you. So I'm just kind of working through this process. I do have it sped up substantially just to, you know, for brevity's sake, and also not to bore you to tears. So if coloring is not your jam, go ahead and skip ahead a little bit. I think it's around the 6-minute mark or so that I stopped the coloring. But I am just, you know, kind of working through these 2 dogs and trying my best to make it look like her 2 dogs. So I have the one done with the 2 different colored eyes, and now I'm going to the other one with the 2 blue colored eyes. And again, kind of starting with a lighter medium gray, kind of coloring that in, trying to match the face coloring. And then on this one, I think I realized I put too much color on the snout, and it was supposed to be more white. So you'll see in a little bit, I end up actually taking a blender marker, which is just basically like alcohol to like thin it out. It's kind of like more like an eraser rather than a blending tool. So you see, I made it way too dark here, up to the nose, and I think it was at this point that I was like, oh, that doesn't look right. So I'm using the blender marker here, just lighten it up. I come back a couple times to try and pull up some of that pigment, and then I put the dark, you know, under the dog's eyes and more on the top of the head and on the sides of the face rather than on the snout. So I'm trying to lighten it up, and it did take quite a bit of the pigment out, so that did kind of save it a little bit. Again, my scribble style, just kind of going through. I think the scribble style works here in the sense of a husky because, you know, there's going to be a lot of texture with the fur. So I'm not really too concerned about having too smooth of a blend. And like I said, this is kind of a challenging dog to color, in my opinion, just because there is such a gradient in shades from dark to light, and they have, you know, some interesting places where they have dark and where they have light. So like I said, I'm trying to customize it to her dogs, but I think she'll know when I send her the card. She'll figure out that it's meant to be her two pups. So I'm going to come in with this white gel pen. This is I think it's a size 8. And I'm just kind of putting little highlights in the eyes, on the nose. And then also kind of, I realized when I started doing this little scribbly effect, it kind of lent itself to the brindle look of huskies. Because, you know, they almost have like a brindle, I guess brindle probably isn't the correct term because that's usually more for like, you know, boxers and pit bulls and stuff like that. But they seem to have like, I don't know, like a weird, I don't know what to call it other than brindle, but I felt like the little scribbly white gel pen lines kind of just added to the texture and kind of like what the texture of their fur coat looks like, you know. So that actually worked out pretty well. And I was also able to use that white gel pen on the nose of the one where I kind of made it too dark on the bottom there. So I'm just working through these details, and then I'm just gonna fussy cut them out real quick. I'm just going to show you the one that I fussy cut out, but I did fussy cut out both of them. And obviously I have this sped up as well. I'm not this fast with my fussy cutting, but I don't mind fussy cutting. This wasn't hard to do. There's not a lot of, you know, edges and things like that. And then I decided I want to use a stencil. This is the overlapping line stencil from A Colorful Life Designs, and I have my Concord 9th mini ink cubes and my cottontail blending brushes from the Rabbit Hole Designs. And I don't actually end up using all the colors that I'm showing you here, but I load a couple of them into my ink stand, which is awesome and super helpful to kind of keep my little ink pads in place while I blend. Now, this stencil is quite delicate. This one would definitely be one that would make your life a lot easier if you used pixie spray. I was just being lazy and didn't, but it actually, with those magnets on the Wendy Vecchi Station tool, it actually stayed in place fine. You don't need to, but if it bothers you, if it moves around or anything like that, then definitely pixie spray or a temporary fixative would help hold that down. And I was showing you, for some reason, I wasn't thinking when I lined up the stencil, and I left that white strip based on where I put the stencil. So totally my error. I decided to just cut it down to slightly smaller than an A2 size rather than working right on the card base. So now I have a panel, and I'm using the cute little flower from the stamp set and the grapefruit color of ink pad, and I'm actually just stamping that little flower all along the background. So again, these two dogs are female, so I thought this was a cute little backdrop for these pups, and I'm kind of just playing with different elements and figuring out, you know, how I want to lay out the card and the composition and things like that. So I just took another little strip of white cardstock and I ink blended that same color along the edge of it to give it interest and popped it up with some foam tape. And I stamped the "I don't shed, I emit magical fibers of joy and love." Hilarious and perfect for a husky owner. I stamped that on the little paper strip and popped that up. I put some foam tape on the top part of the dog that's laying down just so, you know, it's even coverage, and I liquid glued the bottom part. And then I decided to continue on into the inside. I used another one of the sentiments from the stamp set and stamped that with a dark rich black pigment ink just because it stamps really well. And then again, I continue on with the little flower on the inside with that grapefruit ink and then the little leaf. So that gives it some nice, you know, interest on the inside of the card and some continuity in the design. So that finishes the inside. And then I use the little Jessica Lynn Originals stamp to put on the back because this is her original art. She does all the drawings herself. She's an amazing artist. So if you shop in her store, these are all her drawings, and it is beautiful work. So be sure to check out the rest of this release. This is just one of the stamp sets from her new release, and she has some seriously cute stuff. So I will link all the products that I used in the video description box below. If you expand and scroll down, you can check out all that. And here's my finished cards. I have this first one, and I did complete another one off screen using the other dog, and this is for my other friend who recently got a new husky pup. And this is the quatrefoil block stencil that I used in the background, again with the same Concord and 9th ink pads. And I use that same sentiment, but on the inside I use some simple strips to welcome the new little puppy to their home. So I hope you enjoyed these cards. Be sure to check out these awesome products. If you enjoyed my video, please hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. And if you hit the bell, then you'll be notified anytime I post a new video. So be sure to check out these awesome supplies from Jessica Lynn Originals, and I'll check you next time. Thank you so much. Bye.